Yo guys, yo guys, yo guys, always gotta take a chance, not knowing how many seconds you don't actually see of that intro. Hello guys, we're here. I'm just trying to tell me if the audio is good. I know it's better with this microphone, but I don't know quite how close I should be to it. And well, I have a very stupid setup right now. I have some questions that I've collected before the stream that I'm going to prioritize, but I'm just going to stay here for a little bit, or, stay, but chill for a bit at the start to, to let people drop in. This is really stupid. You don't see the thing I put the mic on. It kind of probably isn't working. How are you guys? I'm hoping. They're always slow to start. It's always been like that, the streams. But I'm hoping we'll have a pretty good stream. First one in a while. Might be the last one in a while also. It all depends on how it goes today. But I'm obviously hoping it'll be good. Okay, so right now the mic is standing there well, but the box, it's not completely flat. So you could just touch it. I'm not seeing the chat on my phone, but I have my computer here. So let's bring up the chat there. It's gonna be the awkward part when I hear myself speak. No, let's actually mute before then. Yep. So, literally nothing in the chat, guys. Do you understand how abandoned and rejected I feel when I see that? You haven't said anything, several guys there, I can tell. Don't you understand? That makes me sad, guys. Hey, one thing, I wish I could, from the computer, post a story on Instagram to say that I'm live. But I kind of can't, I think. Maybe if you go into the mobile version of the site. Let's see. It redirects. On Instagram I guess you can do some things. Yeah, you can make posts. And apparently you can go live on Instagram. I just noticed. Should I try that? Go live here also at the same time? That's kind of funny. Why not, That's cool. As a new thing. So, my phone telling me that I'm live. Yeah, guys, please come on, say hi. At the very least, say hi. I don't know if it's for my good or not to tell you these things, but I think, I understand it. Of course, I would watch some things without interacting, but on a smaller, fairly small channel like this, and we're going to have an intimate stream, I cannot relate to at all being on the stream without being in the chat at all, It's like, I guess that's how many people go through life, right? They just watch. They're an observer of life, not an actor of life, Never on the screen, never in the movie. There we are. Have a couple. Singing, dancing, muscle man. Greetings, everyone. I'm just tuning in. Hey, man. It's the guy that's called... It's interesting on YouTube these days. You have a different and a different name, even though you don't use your real name. So it's like you have two aliases. But this is a straight jacket fitness guy. Good guy that can be seen in the comments of many good lifting channels. And I have one question for you that I'm going to answer soon. I'm waiting. I'd like to see at least that we have hit 10. Again, it's very unreliable, these numbers, because, if you have around 1,000 viewers, for instance, it wouldn't matter if it's 980 or 1,020, right? for me, I've just noticed it's not accurate even when it's very low. But I'd like to at least see the number 10, whether that's 8 or 12. Thanks, Theo, he says, singing dancing was man. Well, you're welcome, man. The thing is, Theo, you saw, I have the power, but I didn't put it in for the computer. No, man, it's like Theo appreciates people who appreciate him. I'm apparently doing the third person thing again. But yeah, man, to me it's important. If I like someone, if I like their energy that they bring to me, I'm not someone to kiss people's asses, but I am the one that when I actually feel positively about someone, I really want to let them know. So yeah, man, appreciate you. Ekström says, hi Theo, hi man. Giovanni, do you know the Dude Sons? No, I don't really. Don't be sad, Theo. It's okay. Vanguard Fitness Muscle Mind says, no, it's okay, man. I'm just, I'm emotionally manipulating the viewers into talking to me in the chat. Like, oh, you're here, but you don't talk. How you think that makes me feel, guys? Jack says, hi. Good to see you, Jack. I actually, just before, because I haven't done a live in a while, I just went in to see which one was the latest one I did. And so I just watched a few minutes of that, and I saw you in the chat on that one. Good to see you. I guess I'll try this freaking thing with doing a stream on Instagram also. Very interesting. I call it the YouTube stream, but on IG. It's interesting. I've never done this. I guess it's going to be a shitty microphone for that one. Oh. Let's try this. Okay, no, you can't do it. Apparently, you cannot stream on Instagram through a web browser. You have to connect it to streaming software. Well, then we don't. Never mind. Jagged and Sneaky Vanguard Fitness says, well, Sneaky, I feel like it was so obvious what I was doing. It's like I wouldn't actually emotionally manipulate you guys. Like, guys, it's so tough for me with my little channel, that I try to be so real. I try to be so different, not play the game. And I keep thinking that I'm gonna get rewarded, but no. Here I am with an empty chat again, and yeah, guys, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Something like that, I wouldn't do. Giovanni, he's emotionally manipulating us. That's diabolical. But okay, I guess these streams are often slow to start. It is my experience. It usually takes more than a few minutes for it to get going, for enough people to see it. Read one last message from Singing Dancing Muscle. I know on YouTube there are channel names, and then in 2021 YouTube sent out a message saying every channel could pick a handle. I chose Straight Jagged Fitness as my handle because I sometimes feel like I'm kind crazy with my training. Yeah, man, it's a great thing. It's like so jacked and so willing to get more jacked that you have to be put in a straitjacket sometimes, like that. My at is just uncommon sense, made sense, right? But okay, let's go through the questions that I have. I'll just see if I can block the chat here, because now during I do the question, let me put it like this, guys. The very first question, I put it first, I organized the questions that I got beforehand, like some that I excluded, but I organized them in an order that makes sense and put some together if they, if there's something like that. But the very first question, I'd like you to answer in the chat, and then I'll come back. After I'm done with the questions, I'll also answer that question, but see what you have also. Because it's going to be I'm going to announce. What I'm going to announce on this stream is not something super specific or set in stone. It's more like I'm going to tell you about some ideas I have that I will soon put into something concrete. It's more like exactly what that isn't completely decided, but the big thing is decided. And then I want to brainstorm a bit with you about, well, that thing in particular, but also uncommon sense, the future in general. This is what I try to do all the times, guys. I really try to have a back and forth with you, get your input, not because I just do what you say, but to learn more about what you know, or maybe what I already talk about that you need clarification or a different angle on or whatever, right? So yeah, specifically this first question, I'm gonna not say so much about until I get back to you after all the questions. Someone asked a very good question. How can holistic bodybuilding be a popular thing that has its own category in people's consciousness? And I love that thinking. Like how can we, you that understand what I call a holistic bodybuilding is about, this thing that, yep, definitely bodybuilding bro, but even for someone that isn't super ambitious, not as interested in maxing out and being jacked and that, they could still do holistic bodybuilding. It's just that then the bodybuilding wouldn't take as much space. But it is, of course, this holistic bodybuilding. It's also that maybe we think a bit bigger even with our bodybuilding practice. Like, you know, a bit of larger thinking that, oh, I want to build muscle, but I want to do it in a specific way while acquiring certain skills, you know. Or I like to do it because I like calisthenics. I prefer to do like weighted dips or chin-ups over a bench press or something like that, you know. But then, of course, the holistic part is that it's part of a holistic work on the self. It's really person building. It's just called holistic bodybuilding because it's such an obvious central tool in this holistic person building concept. So yes, it's a very good question how you make people really think of it that way. Of course, people know that, oh, me training and eating better could help with my mental health, for example, for these vague reasons, but really see it as, oh, this training that I do, it is part of me working on myself. I become a certain person. I want to develop certain traits. I want to be strong, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. You know, I want to be consistent. I want to be someone that reaches goals, someone that has a progression, a growth mindset, and so on. Lots of people don't really think of it like this, other in this very, very vague little connection that, oh, taking care of the body will help a bit with feeling good in my head also. So how can we really make people see it as, oh, well, those are bodybuilders. This is a different thing that we're doing. How can you reach more people with that? And I have some ideas about that, of course, but this is what I'd love to hear in the meantime. Some thoughts about you. Some thoughts from you about this. Then we have singing, dancing, muscle man's question that I'm not going to have a great answer to, but I'm still going to answer it. Thoughts on side planks / weighted side planks as a warm-up prior to working sets on behind the back deadlifts. It's such an oddly specific training question, you know. I can't explain it, but since I started using them, not to failure, as part of my warm-up, I feel so much stronger and safer, even though I've never injured myself deadlifting. I think you went on some, okay. I realize this is not much of a specific question, more of a topic suggestion, but there were no other comments, and the behind the back dead is something I've recently fallen back in love with. Yeah, do you understand? I put that, of course, if I put it out some days ago, maybe I would have gotten more. And maybe some posts don't make it through that well in the algorithm. But this is literally on the post on YouTube. This is the only question I got. The other ones are from people on Instagram. No, but so it's a very funnily specific question about behind the back deadlift. It's already quite an unusual exercise to begin with. And then thoughts on what side planks or weighted side planks as a warm-up. Like my thoughts about that. It's like, well, the behind the back deadlift, cool that you enjoy it. I've tried it. I know that the heaviest I just tried for fun was 140 kilos, 3 plates, and I put some weight in my mouth. I had like 12 kilos hanging from a strap in my mouth, and I did it. I mean, it's definitely not a lift anyone has to do, but it's cool, and if you like it, go for it. I mean, the only thing I can say, you say that since you did it, you feel stronger and safer. Well, I mean, I guess it's like you're pre-engaging the core is kind of what you're doing with those sides. Because, the obliques, the sides, they do, of course, actually laterally flex us like this, contracting the core to one side. And they're part of rotating also. But the main function of the core in general often is, to just stabilize the core while other muscles are actually moving. So the obliques, how we use them mostly as people that lift heavy is, anti-flexion or rotation, that on a deadlift, whether back behind the back or not, the obliques are just going to, in both ways, keep your core straight and engaged. So especially if you're someone that maybe has a bit more connection to your obliques or something, that maybe if you start deadlifting, they aren't like fully active, fully on like that. Of course, that would be the thing. If you feel stronger and safer, that would probably be the reason, because you've pre-activated your core. And not much more. It's more like I can just affirm that seems. If you notice something good from that, awesome. And this is my reasoning for why that would be. Oh, that's right. The next question is what my bicep and forearm measurement is. I was going to measure it on stream, but I'm just not quite sure. Not quite sure where I have the measuring tape. Let me take a look, if I can even find it. I'm trying to talk. Yeah, I did find it. Awesome. Didn't even take long. So I would guess my arm is somewhere around 41.5 centimeters, the biceps. I'm not going to be able now to show you up close, but you're just going to have to trust me. I'll tell you that. It's so interesting to me to see how many people assume that people are lying about different metrics about themselves, without really having proof, And because to me, for instance, lying about how tall I am, I've gotten that question many times, how tall are you? Or what's your height? Your actual height? It's is there another height that's not my actual one that you're expecting to hear? Because to me, it's just embarrassing. First of all, if I lie about it and then I meet someone, they're going to see blatantly that I'm not that as tall as I said. But the other thing is that thinking that something about you is so shitty that a lie is better. It's man, I feel sorry for you if that's the way you feel. Point is that you can count on me, even if I can't show it properly, that I'm not going to cheat with a measurement. Truth is my highest value. So what would it, if I care about the truth of my arm, for instance, what would I have to gain by lying to you? Telling something that isn't the truth to you. Okay, now some people are gonna have a fake idea. They're gonna have a lie in their head about my arm. The truth is gonna be the same about my arm regardless though. Okay, let's measure them. So this is cold, of course. I think I haven't measured them with a pump in a long time. So when I flex, let me just make sure I pull it close. Okay, now I think it's nice. Yeah, that seems to be pretty much exactly it. It goes halfway. I don't know if you can see. No, you can see really, but it goes halfway on the 42. So 41.5, just like I said. And then let's do the forearm. I've literally never measured my forearm actually. I don't know how huge my forearm is, just in pure girth, but I know they're quite detailed. So, and I'll also say this. I have no idea what good or average measurements are on the forearm compared to the bicep, the arm. I know much better. Okay, so how do you flex this? Where do you even measure it? Yes, it must be here. I guess it must be here. And then it seems to be just under 32, or where? Is there a better place to put it? Here, maybe it's a little thicker. No, I mean, yeah, that seems to be it. Just under. Or let me think. Maybe, yeah, just. Let me do it again. I confused myself. Let me do it again. This is really so much easier having someone else do it if you don't tape it to yourself or something. I guess, no, that seems to be right, actually, just under 32 centimeters. So what could that be in inches? Is that like 12 inches? 12, 13? We can convert it once, just for the lazy American that barely understands that there are other ways to measure things than a stupid imperial system. I think 41.5 centimeters, because I've had it before. I think it's something like 16.3 inches. Yeah, a bit above 16.3 inches. 32. Yeah, it's like 12.6 inches. So there you go with that one. Let's see, next one. I mean, okay, I could have put, I'll take this one first. What do you weigh right now? Well, this morning, it was actually the first time I weighed myself this week. I keep forgetting, you know. Because I'm bulking now. I've been on vacation, and this week has also been a little special. But, you know, as long as my numbers are going up in the gym, I'm fine. And if things start to plateau, I would maybe start watching my scale weight a bit more consistently also. But this morning when I weighed myself, I was like 88.8 kilos. So what is that? I'm gonna do it for the Americans again. It's like under 200 pounds, 198, 197 pounds, something like this. Okay, a bit less, like 196, barely 196 pounds. Heaviest I've been ever was at the start, not at the start of this year, but at the start of my cut at the end of my bulk this year. I weighed 92.5 kilos. So that I think is actually over 200 pounds. Yeah, there's like 204 pounds almost. And I'd say my best shape that I will ever go down to, only lower if I would compete in bodybuilding, which I won't really do much, but 83 kilos. 88.8 now. Probably don't have to go much higher than 90 kilos during this bulk, I think. Only time if I would weigh 90 and plateau, like almost across the board, I would push it more. Let's do this one. What's your opinion on pasta? First of all, I think it's overrated. Is it really all that good, pasta? It's kind of plain, right? You know, the few times I eat pasta now, it is really good just because I almost never eat it. But really, when I was someone that ate pasta frequently, you know, in my previous life, when I did nothing for a good lifestyle, and the cooking I did, it would mostly be with pasta because it's so easy, right? Pasta carbonara, my typical go-to dish. No, but when I ate it a lot, it was like, nah, it's just a placeholder. It's like a carb source, right? What I think about it other than that is like, I think everything like wheat and gluten, you know, that they're not all the same thing, but these pasta in this case with the gluten and that, I think eating it too much, I think for most people, gluten stuff is like, having it regularly in your diet, I think you'll accumulate some kind of digestive problem, metabolic problem, eventually. However, I do not think that it's an issue to eat every once in a while. So, like both like bread and pasta that I would put in a similar category of foods, I think both of them are fine. I would just not have it as a staple, like something I eat every day. You know, there are nuances. I'm sure pasta I don't know as much about. I'm sure there is types of pasta that are better. Sourdough bread is obviously better than some kind of just fucking toast, completely white bread like that. But how I personally approach it is that it's not like a forbidden foods for me. But I never have them at home, really. I will just, if I go to a dinner or a restaurant and there's bread, or I would be served pasta, I would eat it, and then I'd feel fine about it. Last thing I'll say is that any food, if you eat it regularly, and you're doing well, you're feeling well, you don't get any sort of, you know, other symptom, like, you know, pimples, whatever it could be, right? And your gut health is okay. You know, fuck what anyone else says. You have the best. Your body tells you the truth in the end. So here's an interesting one. What's your perspective on the future and time? So, well, time. Time, it's easier to not even have to talk about time and just talk about the future. Time, I think it's a necessary, how should I put that, dimension in order for this universe, simulation, divine experience, whatever you want to call it. I think time is just a necessary dimension to have. I don't know that it actually exists, that it's just, that it's necessary. It is like a dimension, just like how to make something that's flat into a square that needs to a cube. To make a square into a cube, there needs to be another dimension, right? I think the same with this, with time. There needs to be time. Then the last thing I'll say is that I am not actually sure if it should count as a dimension, but it still works for just like explaining somewhat what I think in human language. About the future, the thing about the future and the past is that they don't really exist other than as ideas or reference points. Like the past, I can tell you, I used to be a skinny, fat, loser, hedonist, nihilist kind of guy. And I had these panic attacks and I changed, That doesn't exist anymore, but it is memories. It's memories that exist in me. Me having these ideas and my body being shaped a certain way, like body, I mean even nervous system and brain then, right? It has something to do with that, but now it's just a reference point. It does not exist anymore, nothing in the past. The future doesn't exist yet. However, we can predict the future, not completely, entirely, but by reading the present moment in the best way, we can sort of predict and sort of control future present moments. But the future or the past doesn't actually exist. The present moment is all there is. And when you're in a good enough place, you should be really happy here and now, then you should have no regrets. Again, the past is only things to refer to make a certain point when you communicate to someone or something. It doesn't exist anymore. The future doesn't exist yet. The present moment is all that you have. And therefore, using memories from the past to control or kind of affect, influence the future present moments. That's how we go about that. But for instance, when I'm in my best place, it's very little that I even think about the future. I've got to have some goalposts, even if it's on a day, like, at this time I'll start having clients, during these dates, in a few months, I'm gonna go on this trip or whatever it is, right? But when I'm good here and now, I know that the future is gonna figure itself out. I don't have to think too much about it. I need a few goalposts to kind of influence what I do in the here and now. But the here and now, being present, that's the important part. So that's my view on that. I'll also say about time. It's not entirely related, but I think the soul is eternal. I think it's only the flesh, the vessel here, that's finite. Like, when Theo dies one day, the soul that I actually am will go on, continue existing, while the shell of Theo is going to decay and go back to building blocks in this on this earth. Okay. Who are people you're planning to bring on to the podcast? So, there's a part of that I wouldn't want to, some I'd like to be more of a surprise. So I wouldn't want to talk about it for that reason. Then there are like people that I'm planning to bring on. Unfortunately, people have their own wills. No, but there are several I'd like to have on that's not just not so easy to have on. I don't, either because you don't manage to reach them, they don't have enough time, or they don't know me well enough, or they're a person that don't really do much podcasting, so it's not as obvious to them to say yes to a thing like that anyway. I'll tell you, again, I don't want to reveal too much, but there will be returning more natural bodybuilding sort of types. I'd like to, of course I'd like to have like Bald Omni-Man, Paris, Butler, and my impression of him is, because he never tells me no, even when I tell him that it's okay, that if you don't want to, you can tell me no. Like, I won't take it personally, you may be busy, you may not do much podcast, right? It seems like he's just flooded with stuff and kind of can't find it in him to prioritize it. But that's someone I'd really like to have on, more of those types. I mean, I'd like to have Basement Bodybuilding on, even if I haven't followed him myself super closely myself. Okay. I still think we'd have a good conversation, right? I'd like to... I mean, there are many people, if I could just completely dream, more like famous people. But I'll take Jay Dyer, is a YouTuber, an Orthodox Christian guy that I find very interesting, even though I myself don't... I'm a believer in God. I see a lot of similarities with Christianity, especially Orthodox Christianity, and my own beliefs in God. And I find Jay very interesting still, and I think we could have a very interesting conversation. So I'd love to manage to reach him. There is this spiritual woman that I'd love to have on, that her name is Gabi Kovalenko. And just because I so naturally found her and really enjoyed her perspective on things, to bring more spirituality and a woman on, better the ratio that way a bit. That's what comes to mind right now. Okay. Here's a question. Did you visit your girlfriend in Greece? Someone is perceptive. I mean, I guess I alluded to it a little bit in the one video I put out this week, but I didn't say directly. But I did, in fact, do that. And yeah, it's like, guys, we're gonna tell our story one day, the way I always hoped, but I haven't been able to take for granted always that it's gonna happen. And yeah, I just have not, right? But that's what I always saw, that because I feel like it's I've done a very difficult thing for me, and I try to use what I've learned from that with still keeping her off the radar for her, respecting her privacy, and that's been difficult. But that's the compromise I've done when I try to not hold myself back from talking about things, using experiences I've had that I know are good to make certain points and help out. Yeah, I lose myself exactly where I was in all of that, but pretty much that's how I've done it. But I've always, like, long term, because I guess what I mean is that apart from protecting her privacy, I've always felt that it's our story, everything we've been through. And yeah, well, that is just not right, unless life goes on far enough to make it very clear that it didn't work out for us. Then maybe I would tell the story myself, but then I'd have to really, really, really confirm that, and I think we would tell the story together. And so pretty damn sure that's going to happen now, but not anytime soon, but at some point. But yeah, I did go visit her. She did not know I was visiting her. She was not happy that I was visiting her first. Then in the end, she was very, very happy and thankful even that I did it like that. It's romantic, go to another country to, well, save the girl is the wrong word, but sort of, in a way. Because, I needed, she cannot bring herself to get to the point she'd need to make things work with me unless I do a big gesture like that. It's not something I would recommend, okay, in general. It's because of a very specific situation that, again, one day you will hear about the story. No, but it ended extremely well, and we're in a better place than ever. And because of this, I don't know, you might hear me mention her more, do videos related to, I don't know, relationship stuff more or something. But it was great. It was great. It is still great. Yeah. And then, I put these questions together for this. This is the last question. I'm going to get back to you in the chat soon. Please like the stream if you haven't already, guys. Maybe send a super chat if you are entertained or learned something. you know, from everything I'm seeing right now, this is going to be the last stream in a long time. I hate to be like that, you know. I absolutely hate to say it like that, but I cannot justify doing these streams if they don't give me enough, like doing them regularly. I'm sorry, I just cannot do that anymore, and I would need you guys to make it worth it with super chat, or at the very least, like there's huge engagement in the chat or something, giving me a lot of to feed off of. Last question before I get back to the chat. Hey Coach Theo, I feel like a loser who can't get or keep a woman. What is it that I need to change to attract and keep women? Well, so first of all, to attract and keep women is never a good way to think about it. Because now you're trying to please some general idea of what women like or something. First of all, you've now put yourself in the beta seat, as in, oh, I need to make myself worthy for the women. It's not that you shouldn't try to be good for women and think about what, not just what women want, but what they need, what they like, you know. But when I'm coming at it still from this perspective, as if I'm not enough, how do I have to change to get the woman? You know, no, you should be the judge, okay? No woman can tell, can tell a man what he's supposed to be like to be his best self, you know. A woman can support a man in that. She can remind him of certain things and that, but in the end, the idea of what makes a man great, you know, and also personally for you, because we're men, many things we share, but we are also different. Yeah, a woman can never, whatever fucking woman makes up that they want about the man, it will never be right, okay? So you should first of all figure out, what do I think a man should be, how, and then do everything in your power to be like that. And now, indirectly, by going at it like this, you will now attract women that, you know, have the same priorities and values as you, you know. If you, for instance, decide, you know, I'm not Christian, but I'm doing it for example now. Yeah, I want to be a good Christian man. I want to be strong. So maybe I'm not a bodybuilder like Theo, but at least I gotta train some in the gym or do some martial art or, you know, some physical thing. I should take good care of myself. I should eat well. I should have my fucking life together, you know. I should have a place to stay. I should be able to pay for myself. I should have decent routines. So I'm fairly healthy, and I should try to serve my fellow man in the best way, right? And a lovely addition to me doing things this way would be a like-minded woman that, you know, agree with my idea on the roles in a marriage or union like that. Yeah, if you try to be this kind of Christian guy I just made up now, and you succeed at that because you think that's the right way to be, guess what? There's going to be many women that vibe completely with that, and you will attract these women now. But let me tell you that the more like masculine you get, the fewer women can even handle you, okay? You know, if you're going to be a man whore and just attract a bunch of plastic women to sleep with or something, that's a different story. You aren't really very manly then, and I don't give that type of advice anyway. But what I say is that the more of an actual good masculine man you're going to be, the fewer women are going to be interesting to you. Like, you'll see right through the fakeness of them. And even some that you would like to begin with, they won't be able to handle you. Your pure masculinity will trigger them too much, and they're not in their feminine enough to be able to deal with you. No, but so then when it comes to keeping a woman, I mean, also how to get her to want to be with you in the first place. You know, other than these fucking fake things that people think matter, like height, face, money. You know, it's not that money is a real thing. You know, you cannot be a bum and literally be in a great relationship and get married, have kids and stuff. But if woman likes you for your money, she doesn't really like you, right? She is viewing you in a way as a resource for you. So how to actually attract and keep a woman is to make her feel safe. Make her feel safe. Make her feel that when I'm with this guy, I don't have to think about protecting myself. I don't have to be on my guard to protect myself against anything. I don't have to think about providing things for myself. It's not just about money, right? I know with this man, I know that if I just follow him, if I take his lead, I will end up in a better place. He will lead me through my clouds of emotion when I can see clearly. And I'll be better off because of this man. Because, attract and keep a woman, she must really feel. If it's not going to be this fucking fake, two toxic people being together, sort of exploiting each other for resources that could be sex traded for money, in a sense, or just a status of like, oh, I have this hot woman by my side in all my IG pictures and stuff. And she's like, yeah, I get all this money, I'm on yachts and shit, What you actually, the resource you want to actually offer is yourself. That your entire way of being, she's going to be better off with that. She don't want to lose you because she knows that she's lost. By comparison, she's lost without you. Then the big question, of course, how do you make the woman feel safe? Well, be a good, strong man. It's like you have to take the lead. You cannot let her boss you around or decide things and that, but also not in a forceful way. She has to feel like, yeah, he's the one that decides. He's the one that leads the way. Most of the time, of course, there's always a little, it's never 100% versus zero. But let's say 90% of the time, he leads the way. But it's not forceful. If I somehow express that I don't want to go somewhere, either he'll listen to me and adjust the thing, or if I am in my emotions, he'll very gently push me towards this, You see, making a woman feel safe is all about not letting her run you over, consciously or unconsciously. She's not going to feel safe with you then. Not letting her run you over, but also not running her over, right? Just running the show. You're the one leading the way forward. Okay, it was a long answer to that one, I think, but let me get back to you guys in the chat, okay? Maybe like the stream if you haven't, send a super chat, show some support for the stream if you like more streams in the future. And yeah, I guess I'll go through some of the chat and I'll do the sort of announcement, brainstorm sort of thing. You know what? I'll actually do that real quick first. So speaking of this, that certain things, because, I have work outside of YouTube also. I'm a coach and trainer. That's the beautiful thing with having your own business, that you don't have to, for instance, be a personal trainer locked to a gym and that's what you do. I can... as long as I can find a situation where I can provide whatever it is, I can do more like life coaching, holistic coaching, and in-person training. Point is that I've realized more and more, I'm always going to put out stuff like for free also on YouTube, don't worry. But more and more, there are certain things I just gotta make worth it for me to invest my time and energy into. So another idea, a beautiful thing for me, I would just love it if these live streams became so big, if the channel was bigger, that I could count on a consistent amount of super chats that, I can just put them out and whoever wants to watch for free does that, and whoever is cool enough, loving enough to show support will do that, and it works out. It just isn't at the moment. So what I've been thinking about is playing around with a membership feature of YouTube. When you you pay a monthly amount to get access to some kind of exclusive content. Right now you can buy a membership on the channel, but it's not really associated to any reward. But I have two ideas for that right now. One is to have the weekly live stream, member exclusive live stream. That could also be replaced at times if I can't do live on a particular week. I could do a post and collect some questions from members only and then record a video that's members only for that. But so live streams or the Q&A video when I can't do them for members on a weekly basis is one. Another is that before I put a lot of my training on my Instagram stories, because I really just enjoy doing it. But again, it does generate something for me, but too little to justify doing it that much anymore. Same thing there. I'm going to keep putting out a training clip here and there, but I've been thinking about doing content about my personal training as a member exclusive thing. And some of these things, including this stream now, but also I'm going to do a very long video, really just walking over my training that's not going to be member exclusive, just to kind of give an idea what that could be like. but these are the ideas I have for the YouTube membership right now, before I would go on to actually make some own community site that have many different things, you know. But a little stepping stone to that is to put live streams and some of my training with commentary, yeah, as member exclusive content. So please let me know what you think about that, guys. And now I'll get to that later. And now I'll go catch up in the chat. Yeah. Mamad, hey bro, I set the timer so I could catch you live. I hope you're having a good day. Well, that's nice, man. I am having a good day. Happy to see you here. Glad you had a timer so you didn't miss it. Please ask me if you have anything to ask me, okay? I hope you are having a good day also. Shiggy Overload, haven't seen you in a while, but he says, hello friends, hello Theo, hey man, good to see you. Giovanni, we honestly need to go back to like a Spartan society and program the population at a very young age that physical conditioning is just as important as breathing. Sounds simple on paper. Yeah, but it's not even just that. It's like we need to start among physical training, right? Physical training being among the things. But what we really should start teaching people is like from a young age, is like just human skills, life skills, you know. It's so fucking useless. Not all of it is useless actually, like, you know, but in school, it's like, okay, learn a bunch of history, learn a bunch of biology, learn chemistry, geography, whatever it is. Of course, it's not going to be anything bad about knowing those things, and in some ways even useful. But what does it matter if you know, you have a lot of information in your head about these different subjects, but you are not healthy because you don't know how to take care of yourself, you know? You don't really know how to, how you should look at money. You don't have like people skills. Especially in this modern day and age, ways of coping with like stress and just like fucking different sort of mental health kind of issues you can get from just being a little human being with a nervous system in a world like this. It's like, yeah, and I know Spartans, it wasn't just about the physical stuff, their entire like way of being. Point is that we should teach fucking people how to live as a human first. Then we can get into all these subjects and that. But like, imagine, I've seen it so much. It's not like I'm a great cook, but I can at least like buy food and cook for myself. And so many grown-ups, they fucking haven't even learned how to do these things. Like, so lots of people, they buy food, Uber Eats and stuff, not just because it's convenient or anything. It's kind of they kind of literally can't cook. And, you know, microwave food and shit. There's so many things that would be more important to learn at a younger age before you go into the more like intellectual education on different subjects like that. And by the way, this is electrolytes, as always. APG, behind the back deadlifts feel like a hack squat to me. Yeah, I mean, it's called a hack lift by some. It's kind of strange. I mean, it's more quad, because the center of gravity is where it is compared to a regular deadlift. Yeah, singing, dancing, muscle man. Pre-activation of the core makes a lot of sense. Now that you're talking about it, it does make sense that the force transference could be more efficient if my entire torso stays more rigid during the lift. Exactly. Mac Attack. Hey Theo. Hey man. Mamad, drum rolls please. What do you want drum rolls for? What was it? Was it when I measured? Yeah. APG, forearm 0.8 X bicep, like the ratio, I guess. So you're saying the forearm is supposed to be 20% less? Have to think now. I had 32 versus 42. Wow. Really? That's a big ratio. That's what Steve Reeves said he aimed for. A forearm of 0.8 X biceps. Most people are not there though without forearm training. I mean, in that ratio, what it sounds like to me is that that sounds like a huge fucking forearm to me, is what it sounds like. I mean, I'm not even close. Okay, I guess I am closer than I thought. I thought of the math being a little off. Because I'm 0.76. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I want them all bigger, though. It's still my weakest points, according to me. Now, obviously, like 16.3 inches or 41.5 centimeters, objectively not a small arm at all compared to most people, but I don't compare myself to most people. I compare myself to me and the standards I set for myself. And I mean, I feel okay. It's not that I feel insecure about my arms. They don't ruin my physique or anything. But I personally really like big arms also, and it's not what's come naturally to me. So until I reach like 17 inches, or at least 42 centimeters, I'll be like, well, I have small arms. Shiggy overload. Pasta is so difficult to eat while having a meal that has good macros. Pasta is never fermented, so what should be bad about industrial bread is bad about pasta. Yeah. Maman, APG, at APG. I think it is harder said than done for bigger arm size. I have 29 centimeter forearms, 37 centimeters arm size, but my biceps grow at a much faster rate, so it's expectable for it to lag behind later on. Yeah, maybe. I'm just thinking about it. You know, you say that they grow at a faster rate, but it's like they should, because they're bigger muscles. As in, you know, each increment of growth should be bigger. MLR, have you played any poker lately? Good question. No, you know, honestly, these days, what I would do, like if I were to play poker anytime soon, it would be because an opportunity to like play with friends in actual like live tournament or something that I could do as, you know, more. It's not about the poker only, right? It's like the activity go do together. But online, I basically only play online, I think, when, I mean, I guess I could for some special event also, but it's mainly been when, I don't know. Of course, I can make some money on poker. I usually do if I play, you know, for a bit. But it's mainly like, you know, I'm not so into video games anymore. And if I were to, instead of playing video games, you know, I maybe play poker. But it would often be when I have a little bit less going on. And yeah, I think ideally I'll be in a position where that never happens. Now is a time like that. I would not play poker. That being said, I love the game still. I like the game. Ossi, your physique blows my mind. How the fuck? Well, how the fuck? Let me tell you. Consistent action, consistent imperfect. Let me create the sentence. Consistent imperfect action towards perfection over 7 years. I've since I started, I made a decision that this is the way I'm going now. I had first, like, I'm at least gonna reach this like insane level shape. To me, you know, a shape I had in mind that I would describe as visible muscle on the entire body, low enough body fat to have abs, some, you know, how do you say that, like striations, but you know, cuts in the muscle, some veins going. And then I noticed that now I'm gonna keep doing this. I want to max out as much as possible. I've literally never stopped since I started. I've had injuries, so I've had like to locally put something on the brakes while I rehab it. But the entire process has always been moving forward. The longest time I ever took off training, I cannot even think of it, because it's like I wouldn't even count it if I do like a 5-day fast and don't train on it, because it's more like, well, it's because I'm fasting, and I would probably exercise some still. But do you understand? I've never taken a week where it's like, yeah, I'm just not gonna train, you know, not even a week during these now over 7 years. And also I don't just accept if something plateaus, like the only video I put out this week. The kind of point was that I don't understand how people do plateau endlessly anyway. Like, Don't you go look for a solution? Don't you adjust? Don't you try anything else until you get it? So you see, man, it's not like I refuse to accept not making progress. That kind of mindset, it takes you very far, okay? Being very consistent, progression oriented, and that's both when you're actually like have a good program, know what you're doing, that you're actively trying to push your numbers up, but also progression oriented, as in when you see that something that you're doing isn't quite working or isn't working anymore or isn't working the way you thought it should. If there's a particular muscle you've done some exercises that you feel should work but they aren't, well, try, play around, try different exercises or change your form, just fucking progress, just adjust until you move forward again. Doing this over and 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 over, it will take you very far. So that's how the fuck, Ossie. Jesse has retracted a bunch of messages, he said. Always interested to see that. I was curious what people felt like. Nah, I can't say that. I said it, but I can't say it. Singing Dancing Muscle Man. More comments, more engagement in the light chat. Wah, wah, he says. Thanks, man. Marco 1047. A good, loyal, traditional woman is too rare to find nowadays, unless you want to be ultra religious. That's where you find them. I mean, too rare for what? For how much effort you're willing to put into it, or? I just never like phrasings like that. Like, it's too rare, like it's just a fact. Not, okay, for you, it's too rare for the level of effort you are willing to put into match up with a woman like that. Because I would agree if you said that it is difficult to find a good, loyal, traditional woman these days, as in, just it is difficult. Too difficult. Okay, for you maybe. Clearly not for me, right? I had to find her, like, on the other side of Europe, basically. And let me tell you, again, you're going to hear the story from the both of us one day. Let me tell you that I had to do a lot, okay? I had to do a lot, not because she is demanding, if you understand, not because she put me to some kind of test. It was a very tricky situation. Let me tell you though, it was worth it in the end. And it was not too rare. In fact, some of the most difficult things I've experienced in this life has been during this journey. And if I had to go over them again, 1,000 times to get to here, I would do it, okay? So that's my mindset. Do you see that if you decide that something is too rare, it's like you're saying, like, I'm weak, I'm too weak to get what I think would be good. I'm deciding that I'm too weak to get it. And I'm saying it in this way to provoke you a little bit, but it's from love, that is the truth. If you don't want to put in the effort to find a certain woman, that's okay, that's up to you. This that it's too rare though, too rare for you, not for me. Singing Dancing Muscle Man. Like the stream, everyone. Hit the like button. Yeah, please do that. Please do that, guys. We have a decent amount of people viewing now. I'd like to keep going, guys, but I'm coming to the end of the chat here. It's up to you. Sam Dixon. Would you advise normal cutting or snake diet for a muscular guy with 25% body fat? So again, these questions are always, for me, a little difficult, because a guy with 25% body fat, a muscular guy with 25% body fat, is like, it's not an either or question for me when that's all I know. It's like both could work. Both could work. I don't really have a preference with just those facts at hand. Do you see what I mean? For a specific person that I know what their priorities are, or what's more difficult or easier for them, now there's something I would advise, if you see. But I can kind of tell you what the sort of trade-offs here is, that, when you are a muscular guy, it depends on how you would structure your fasting, but especially if you are somewhat advanced when it comes to, intermediate plus, from a muscle mass perspective. Now, fasting is going to make it quite hard to make any sort of progress with your training while you're cutting, which of course many times I think the goal you should have when you're cutting is that I'm trying to hold on to as much strength as possible. And if I can make gains, that's just a bonus. That's sort of a symptom of a cut done really well. But you can make progress when you're in a deficit. So, you know, the less advanced individual, it's going to be easier for them to do fasting more frequently and still be able to make gains, because it's like they have fat to lose, but their body is also kind of so hungry for that stimulus to grow muscle that soon after a fast, the body would kind of be ready to grow again. While if you're someone that's already acquired quite a big amount of muscle mass and you completely take away food from the body for a few days, you know, the body is going to be like, okay, you know, we already have a lot of muscle mass. I'm going to be a bit careful. I got starved for a few days. I'm going to be a bit careful with using resources for building tissue. Kind of want to use it more for energy. If you see what I mean? That being said, when I cut with prolonged fasting and a daily deficit, but the prolonged fasting is the main way to create a calorie deficit at the start of this year, I wasn't up at 25% body fat, I would say. I would say maybe 20 probably at most. But what I did to be able to keep my gains more, but also even make some progress, was that I didn't do a fast on a weekly basis for me, which is something I would do for people that are, you know, further behind on the muscle gain spectrum, right? Because it would just work better for them. Yeah, they would be more able to make gains with a weekly fast than someone like me. So I just did what I would do for a person like that, just every other week instead. And that made it so I could make progress in certain exercises, or if I, right after the fast, had lost something on an exercise, I would get it back before going on the next fast. And specifically on a preacher curl, I kept making freaking progress throughout the entire cut. So, you see what I mean? That when you're in a daily deficit, when you eat every day, you're like in a deficit, but you eat high quality food and enough protein, and there's not these prolonged amounts of like 100% calorie deficit, right? It's going to be easier for you to build some muscle while you're cutting, but it's going to be slower probably, right? So what I would advise, you see, you in particular, I would not advise, either would work, but now with what I gave you there, you can come up with what sounds like it would be best for you. Sort of the easy answer is, or the simplification of it all, is that prolonged fasting probably gonna help you lose fat the fastest at the expense of not being able to push training forward as much. Fasting also being more difficult for some people. And daily deficit is like, okay, it's going to go slower, but training is going to work out better for you. Yeah. Jack, thoughts about going to university/college nowadays? I think going to college and getting a degree nowadays isn't worth it. I mean, I think you're Swedish, right? So I just think it's funny with university/college. Is it like, be a bit inclusive to Americans? But yeah, my thoughts about it is I think there are for certain routes you want to take, certain jobs in particular, I don't think it's a bad idea, but many times, yeah, it's just not necessary. It's like, it depends on what you want to do, really. If like some kind of, I mean, I don't really know too well when it comes to being like a programmer or engineer or something. Like if you can get good jobs employed for someone else without any, you know, university education. I'm sure if you do your own thing, like if you're a programmer, you can just code and you never had an education and you just start making software that you sell or something. That would work, right? But what I'm saying is that certain things, and even certain education is still good. Maybe, you know, studying to become a programmer or engineer, maybe that kind of education is more of the, like science, you know, maybe it's more of the good kind, while many things are just so completely unnecessary to do. Yeah, but let's say you want to work in law, for instance, you're definitely gonna have to go to university and that. Well, yeah, a lot of it is just a fucking scam, you know, a money grab. You know, you put yourself in debt to get this fucking paper, then the system sort of, not completely, it's not set in stone that you absolutely have to have this degree to get a job, but to a big extent, it's like kind of shaped at that is put a lot of value put on having this paper that says you're smart about something. You put yourself in debt for this, to be a little 9-to-5 working slave for someone else, and they even fool you by giving you a little nice suit, on your job. I'm important now. I'm doing important work. I could probably have done something more important, and that gives me both more freedom and wealth, So yeah, I think, for instance, now I don't look at it that way, but I have a degree in journalism, right? A bachelor's degree. Started to study because I just had no idea what to do with my life. Finished it post panic attacks just because I only had one semester left. If I had done like 3 out of 6 terms or whatever, I probably would have just abandoned it. But when I had one left, I felt I gotta just, take it into land. But I will never ever have a use for the actual degree. Other than, I guess, that's the fucking silly thing that I hate about this overly intellectualized society, is that some people, even me here, even if I'm doing fitness and stuff, if I started promoting somehow that I am a journalist, I have an academic background, yeah, I even have a degree, some people would for some reason consider me like more credible or something because of this, even though it doesn't matter at all, right? But some experiences I had from the education, even that I'm here now to tell you these points, but specifically about media, interviewing people and stuff, I have use for them. So you see, those are some thoughts I had, that it's not black or white ever, but many people would just not have to go to university, take loans and shit to do that. Van Bard Fitness membership, ? I thought the new thing was having your own app. That could be on the table also, but it's like further down the line for me, but it's definitely an idea I have to. Okay, there's one idea I don't even want to say out loud because someone could sort of steal it from me. Yeah. Mohammed, also, I have another question as for if I should be on a slight deficit on my refeed/rest days or not. Did you ask any other? Have I again not gotten the live chat with everything? Let me just see now if I missed something. I felt like I changed it. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so. But, okay, I have another question. I just don't see that you asked a first question. You said some things, but you asked if I should be on a slight deficit on my refeed/rest days or not. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Trying to micromanage things like this is not a good idea. It's like, let's put it this way. Decide what you're doing so you don't even have to do a thing like that. Either you're in some sort of maintenance mode and you eat around your maintenance and you do that all the time, or you're cutting and you're cutting all the time, right? Or you're bulking and you're bulking all the time. But whatever you do, it's like on the rest days, also interesting, slight deficit on my refeed/rest days. It's not a refeed day if it is a deficit. So here I am just autistically picking apart your grammar of your question. But point is that, let's put it this way. It's again how more advanced you get. But, the easy example is that if someone is not very advanced now, they're really kind of skinny fat, their body is, even if you kind of deplete it on calories and stuff, it's going to have resources to take from some fat, and you're so under baseline for muscle that your body is going to think it's a very good idea to prioritize an adaptation. Even in a short term, that's why I'm saying that even someone less advanced could fast and then quite quickly put the body into anabolism when it comes to building muscle. While the more advanced you get, you really have to create a long-term sort of environment of an anabolism. So that's why someone like me would be more stumped by a fast during my bulk, right? So the point is that both this, if you're advanced enough, then now you have to kind of keep the body, even when you're resting and stuff, keep this anabolic environment that the body feels like I always have, if anything, more resources than I need. But then it's the other thing, think of it this way, when you train, I think you know that it's not acutely when you go train that you build the muscle. Like that is what's going to lead to, it's the initial thing that needs to happen, the initial stimulus. But of course, you don't make gains then, you get a pump, but the actual muscle growth, that happens afterwards when you eat well and sleep well and manage stress well, you could say. Because, you know, being highly stressed would be catabolic, for instance. But probably if you sleep enough, that's going to be enough for that. But the point is that protein synthesis, this is not set in stone exactly in the science either, but the way I think of it is that it's elevated for around 48 hours after you stimulated the muscle. So you see, even if I train, so let's say I train right now in the evening, my protein synthesis is going to be elevated tomorrow and the day after that, up to a point, right? So even if I don't train on the days after today, I still have gains to feed. So apart from keeping this overall anabolic environment for the body, it's also that just because you're resting doesn't mean that you aren't, you know, in the need of nutrients to build muscle, right? It's like this, I'll put it like this. Before I move on, when I deplete a little bit on carbs before going into a fast, just because I can, okay? I can transition in from eating quite a bit of carbs straight into a fast and do well, because it's often an advice if you want the start of the fast to be easier, like go keto for a while before. But the way I think of it then is that, because I always leave one rest day between, one rest day and one eating day before starting a fast, because I want the body to be more recovered when I go into the fast. That means that I want to eat carbs up until the day before my last workout, because on that day, no carbs I'm eating, other than maybe a little bit of like fast carbs right before the workout or something, but they're not going to all just convert to glycogen for me to be able to use for the workout. I've already stored up on glycogen for that workout. So even on this day that I train, I can start eating, I'll eat, but I don't need as many carbs now. I'll just eat protein and fats and some carbs, and on the last day before the fast also. So, yeah, I guess my point is that when it comes to eating and the training, it's not always as acute as, oh, I'm going to train today, so I eat a lot of carbs today, or I'm resting today, so I should eat less today, right? You have to think about a little bit. It isn't as like just, you know, it's a good analogy with putting fuel in the car sometimes with food in your vehicle. It's just that your vehicle is not as robotic, it's more complex. It works on a different clock than just put gas in the tank and you're ready to go. Yeah. Vanguard Fitness. Have you tried some arm specialization? What seemed to work or not for you? I mean, in one video I did that was quite long, where I went over, I think I just went over everything I've been thinking about training lately. Just, I mean, instead of a Q&A, it's more like, these are some points that have come up for me lately. And arm specialization, it's mainly triceps have always been easier for me. It's just easier to feel that I hit it well. I more easily get sore, which you obviously don't have to, but it is an indicator I'm doing well, and I've just been able to make more consistent progress there. And what I have tried and will keep trying now, because it has worked, starting on Monday, so starting tomorrow, my split is upper, lower, misc, rest or misc, and then push-pull legs, misc. That will be the last day today. Today I only really train neck, but on my upper day I have a preacher curl, only a preacher curl as a biceps exercise. On this misc day, for now, I have some curl. Now I actually stuck with a unilateral concentration curl. So it's quite close to like a one arm preacher curl, right? But then I do some forearm stuff also. Like I will do some hammer curl sort of thing. And then on Friday, I have my pull day where I will do 2 biceps exercises. So you see, there are the frequency. I try higher frequency, but I also tried some exercises. The preacher curl is one like more, I don't know, stereotypical. That's working really well for me. But many bicep exercises that like should work for me just hasn't. And I think that's why I have pretty good like brachioradialis development. That it seems that my brachioradialis is happy to get involved in many things that technically should be more biceps. So what worked for me, I did some unusual, apart from upping the frequency, I did some things that wouldn't be my go-to options, like doing like spider curls, you know, shortened position, not trendy at all with all the lengthened training range, which I like also. I generally like lengthened training before it was a trend also. But I did that, like spider curls, but I also did like higher reps than I would almost. Like most triceps exercises, for instance, for isolation, I would keep in the 8 to 12 range, and I would want to think about it in a similar way for biceps. But I just tried going lower weights and higher reps, like maybe more like 12 to 20 reps, to see if like, can I then, with lower weight, can I then like by just mind-muscle connection kind of focus more into the biceps. All of this seemed to work because I don't remember what it was like 1 year ago, my measurement, but this year has been when I've seen the most obvious growth in my biceps. So I just think I'm going to stick to the same sort of thing, like change some exercises around, but since triceps seems to be doing well with just being trained on the upper, because I won triceps on the upper and on the push, I'll keep it like that. I'll keep this sort of system for the biceps. If it stops working, I'll try something differently. But this is what's worked for me. What I will say, if you are someone with like stubborn arms, like mine definitely have been, some muscles have just been so much easier to grow without having to figure it out like this. And arms is something I really for a long time have tried to figure out, and it's still like much slower. What I will say is that don't listen too much to any like specific advice. Like get ideas like you might get from me now if you're someone in a similar position or that just wants to grow their arms. But you see that if it's tricky for you, it might be quite individual little tweaks that work for you. I'll say this as the last point of it, that for instance, very supinated curls that technically should be more like biceps, right? Somehow that doesn't seem to be the optimal position for it. It actually seems to be more of a C-bar position, you know, that hits the biceps a little better, which like you just wouldn't think looking at it to begin with. Probably isn't like that for most people, but for me it seems to be the case. So yeah, the final point is that take ideas from someone like me, but just fucking, you know, again, if you're not making progress, see, adjust, try, until you see that something's working. Of course, certain things you have to stick with for, you know, you cannot do it like for a week or two and be like, oh, it didn't work. You have to try it for a little bit longer. Yeah. Sam Dixon, thank you. I'm not worried about making progress. I hold good amount of muscle, so I'll focus on losing fat. Awesome, man. So snaked it is, he says. Well, man, you can go watch the video. I mean, I have several. I should probably do a new one with them. You know, because I have a routine that you could use for different purposes, but the one I call my like food addiction reversal protocol, I call it that because that's like kind of doing it regularly in that way would be a great way, if you can, to get rid of food addiction. But it's also just a great way to implement fasting, a weekly fast, to make a calorie deficit. So, but if not that, watch just my, also from, I think from the end of last year or start of this, I made a couple of videos like Professor style, like why, I think both why natural lifters should fast and how. Okay. King of the Castle, says Algorithm. Mamad erased the message. It's funny, I always have to point out that you erased the message. Brian M. Hi, I did a 7-day dry fast, partially for visceral fat reasons, another for a cancer scare, non-diagnosed. I actually heard dry fast was safer than water fast. Lost 30 pounds by the end of the fast. Thoughts? You know, my initial thought is that I kind of never like too much when someone just states a bunch of things and then asks thoughts. Because, yeah, I haven't thought about it, right? I don't really have any thoughts about it. I always had to coach you in the questions, but I'm somewhat half kidding now also. You know, safer than water fast, that doesn't make sense to me at all, you know. How could it be? It's a way bigger stress on the body. I'm sort of like, I'm cautious, even though I think about anything like this, like dry fasting, that people are generally like too scared, too chicken shit, too little NPCs, too comfortable to even like be able to entertain the idea that going without water for a while would be like okay in the end. Not realizing that just like a workout, even if it's a shorter thing, it is a stress you put your body under, but then it was a good dose, and if you do right afterwards, you recover and even reach a higher level. Dry fasting, just with a longer thing, you do it for longer, it kind of compromises you even more, but then just eating right and everything afterwards is gonna, you know, you're gonna be fine. But I have a hard time saying that it would be safer than a water fast. 30 pounds by the end of the fast, it's kind of crazy. I guess you have quite a bit of fat to begin with, and you know, a significant amount of that is water, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of actual weight loss as well. No, well, that would be my thoughts, I guess. But yeah, good job. That's a long dry fast. Probably easier when you're fatter, like that I would just assume that you are, because you have, you know, fat cells are in part water. You're going to carry more water always. Gabriel Pereira, thoughts on OMAD at night and workout in the middle of the day? Yeah, I mean, thoughts on it. Again, I'm not super happy. It's like, who are you? Why would you try this? No, but my thought on it, so OMAD, for the one that doesn't know, is 1 meal a day. And I mean, my thought about it is that mainly is that it can be great, very aggressive recomp routine, or at the very least, like, yeah, just aggressive cutting routine. To me, I can, you know, it's not ideal. I'd often prefer to have 2 meals for many people. That one is smaller and one is bigger. So it's like 2 MAD or like kind of 1.5 MAD in like a 4-hour eating window or something. But yeah, I mean, it's if you can fast throughout the day and train fasted, and then have a, you know, big meal, you know, because on OMAD the meal can be fairly big and even create a pretty big calorie deficit. Structuring it like this may make it so that, you know, if you can just get through some hunger in the day, you eat enough to be fine at the end of the day, but you're still in a big calorie deficit. So that would be my main thing. But it's, you know, it's hard for some. But yeah, good recomp and or aggressive weight loss routine when you still eat every day. And me personally, last thing I'll say is that I like to think of a lower eating frequency as a part of creating a calorie deficit. It's not so much that the like fasted part that you go long without eating in and of itself is, you know, yeah, some benefits from that. Not so much in terms of weight loss though, because that's still some kind of energy equation in the end. Yeah, that whether it's OMAD, 2 MAD or 3 MAD, I like to think of how many meals you eat, but also when in the day to, you know, make you the happiest, fullest feeling, having to deal with hunger the least in a calorie deficit. That's more the tool that you use the fasting or lower eating frequency for. Mamad, I don't know why that message is not showing up, lol. I'm gonna paste it again to see if it works. Sorry for my spam. I guess YouTube have a problem with it. Never mind. Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe you didn't take the message back. Someone else did it. Anna, you look like a blonde Glenn Danzig. Who's that? Danzig. Does it look like a German name? I look like many different people, I realized, huh? Yeah, this guy, is it some like metal guy? Who is it? He's known for his song style, who's said to like an Elvis Presley, Roy Orbison, and Jim Morrison. Evil Elvis. Yeah, I've never heard about the guy. No, I guess I can see the resemblance in sort of the shape of the head a bit, yeah. Besmenov says, ha ha ha. Marcus Sande. So just so you know, man, he's asking in Swedish, and I always say this, it's fine if you're doing like a comment or a message to me, but keep it in English for the sake of the other people, okay? But he is, and it's okay, you know, that you don't know to begin with. That's how I like it. He asks if I would recommend stopping caffeine. It's again this fucking general question. I'm not cursing at you, but it's like, I want you to understand, guys, that apart from some like really bad things or something, I don't think there's like a general like, oh, should you do caffeine or not? The answer is always, it depends on you, you know. People, first of all, have different sensitivities. Some people metabolize caffeine a lot slower, which is going to mean that they often, you know, they get bigger sleep issues from caffeine. Some people don't feel caffeine much at all, while some are super sensitive. Some might have their digestion be very affected by caffeine, while someone else doesn't. Do you understand? It's contextual. Me, I feel like nicotine and caffeine through snus and coffee is something that I never have to quit. I would even argue that the way I use it, when I do it on a good, you know, I reduced. That's the thing. That's the thing that people are stopping caffeine. It's like, well, how much do you take right now? Okay, you take 1 gram of caffeine per day. Maybe doing way less than that. Maybe cutting that in like, you know, by at least 50%, but probably more would be a good idea then. If you have to quit, though, that's a different story. And I added like a dosa, like a box of snus per day. Those are 24 of them, right? Now I have 6 in a day. And coffee, I don't even know how many cups I used to drink, but now it's 3 or 4 in a day. And to me, I feel like I do perfectly fine with these. I feel like I get enough benefits out of them. I don't really see enough side effects. So the question becomes like, why should I quit if it's even a good thing, you know, or at the very least, not a bad thing? And I feel at this point also that I would be able to, if I had to. Let's say I moved to a different country and I just cannot buy snus there, and it's going to be so inconvenient to get a hold of it. Then I would quit. I don't feel like unable to do it. But so that's my answer. It's like, no, I don't think there's a general thing, especially since I myself like caffeine, especially from coffee and not some like completely artificial energy drink. It's never a just yes or no thing. It's always, it depends. The last thing I'll say, because I say I got a super chat and I'm going to focus on that, I appreciate that. But a good way of thinking of it is that, do you use these stimulants, caffeine or nicotine, for something productive? And honestly, everything like that doesn't always have to be productive. You know, sometimes it's productive with a treat of some kind to yourself. If you like having a coffee, that just makes you feel good enough about stuff so that you know, get other good things or whatever. That could be, the actual pleasure of it could actually be productive. But what I mean is that caffeine is it could sort of be seen as false energy, you know. What it does more than give you energy, what it actually does is sort of blocking feelings of tiredness, right? And so if you would invest this false energy into either something physical, like a workout, but of course it helps you focus also, into some kind of work, and then you make sure to make up for it with resting and stuff also. It's a little bit like you're borrowing some energy from the future, but not more than you actually can pay back. While some drugs, it's like alcohol, it's not about energy then. But let's say if someone would have one glass to relax at some point, to wind down, maybe they're not even borrowing much. Maybe it's all right. But if you go finishing the entire bottle, now you've borrowed like happiness and good feels from the next day, and more so. It comes with what is it called? Interest, So it always depends on what person, for what purpose, and how are you actually using this. Just be honest with yourself. And Jack asks, thoughts on cigar smoking. I did smoke, not a cigar. I don't know what these are called in English, but it's like, in Swedish we have cigar or cigarill, and the cigarill is like a small cigar, like a cigarette size, but it's made in the same rolling leaves. Like a cigar. And I just think it's funny because we don't really have that in our language, to have the like cigare, cigarill, like the little ending that makes it a small version of something. It's just kind of funny that we happen to have it with that, and I never see it in like English or other languages. But my thoughts on it, it's like, like we just talked about, both caffeine and nicotine you can find, and like coffee and tobacco, you can find both like side effects, bad effects, and benefits it causes. So it's always about a balance of things. That's what I mean. That's why I've become less black and white, that you should never be addicted, abuse something. You cannot really justify getting blackout drunk ever, really, But you could justify having a glass here and there, for instance. Same things with like smoking a cigar or snooze or having coffee. It's like, yeah, it can actually be used as part of a whole of everything you do, so there is more benefit than harm done. Cigars are, of course, less hazardous for like the throat and lungs, not only because you're like, most people are not, you're not supposed to inhale, some people do, but even if you inhale, just that it's pure tobacco leaves makes it so that it's at least less tar in them. And then I would hope the higher quality cigars, they haven't pushed all this extra shit into like the with cigarettes. That's quite an incredible thing. Of course, too much of just inhaling hot smoke into your lungs would cause some kind of damage anyway, but it's still so contextual. Like, I think it's a very different thing to have some kind of unprocessed raw tobacco and like put in a pipe and smoke, compared to buying these highly processed cigarettes. It's just not the same thing at all. No, but nicotine is even a slight test booster. It kind of acts like an aromatase inhibitor. It helps less testosterone get converted into estrogen. So you see, you shouldn't start smoking cigars every day. But if you enjoy a cigar, there are some upsides to that also. King of the Castle, will you timestamp the questions for the VOD? I mean, can you do that for me? It's again, guys, it's like, okay, sorry, I should acknowledge the super chat first. Brian M, $10. Thanks for the Q&A. I appreciate your natural bodybuilding, your honesty overall. Well, I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate you. And this kind of, like I always feel like saying, so often when people do send a super chat, you're saying thanks for something that's already been said, instead of asking something in it, because I feel always like I want to prioritize it. But then it's kind of like, yeah, well, thanks. I do appreciate it, man. But this goes into King of the Castle. Will you timestamp the questions for the VOD? It's like, I talk about how I would love to do more live streams, but then I really can't justify all the time it takes for it. And it's like now another thing that I'm supposed to do that takes time. It's like, nah, I'm probably not going to for this one. I do it for my regular videos many times when I think it's sort of necessary. But a stream like this, going over it, I would love it if I see how people have done that on some other channels, that, someone else in the comments make the timestamps, and like, great, awesome, I'll put them in the video. So probably won't, no. Marcus Sande, Okay, we'll stick to English in the future. And the point, King of the Castle, is that if these streams felt like they were really worth it for me, like again, I enjoy them, but that's the thing. We cannot just do what we enjoy. If I stream just because I liked it, I would waste too much time and energy that I could use on things that I would need to for some things. You know, I need something for me also, right? Whether I like to stream or not. So the more support I get from you guys, the more effort I will put into things. I would do it if I do the members only stream. Marcus, yeah, you said you will stick to English in the future. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Matthew Lavoie, I don't know if I'm butchering your name. I'm improving on everything except bench press. Most of my numbers are early intermediates except bench. I'm currently doing past bench, and my PR is 8 reps of 170 pounds. Any idea on how to improve? No, not really, with the information given, because you told me what your personal record is, but I have no idea. You do past bench. I have no idea of what split you do, how often you bench. Do you have a progression scheme that you follow? It's like you say that it's you're improving on everything except the bench press, okay? And so this not improving on the bench press, what does that look like? Does it look like you showing up, working yourself up to 170 pounds on the bar, getting 8 reps, and either failing the 9th or just feeling that I won't be able to get the 9th? It's like, it's a little hard to say when I don't know exactly what it is you're doing with it. But many times, the answer is like, change something. Whatever you're doing isn't working when you, from a sort of consistency and effort place, do everything you can. Then it's like, then something has to change. I don't know your body composition. You know, if you're a fairly lean guy, maybe like eating more on a exercise that definitely is very body weight dependent, like the bench press, eating more and gaining some more weight might help. You do past bench now, well, maybe going to touch and go reps, and where you're gonna have different numbers, of course, but you're changing it up. Maybe you'll be able to progress then you would be able to progress on your past reps also. Maybe try a completely different variation, close grip. If you would have some special bars, I've never really had access to those kinds of cool bars. But, you know, you see, change something until you observe progress again. And then, since they are all similar enough, the things we're talking about now, they would help even with your past bench there in the end. For me, what it's been, okay. No, for me, when it comes to bench, I have done things like, I'll give you an example that I've done before. There was, many years ago, I had an experiment when I tried that too next I'm gonna appreciate that super chat or turn attention to that. But I had a training phase when I experimented with doing a 5x5 of some kind of exercise at the start of each workout. And one was incline bench press, right? And so what I do then is, because that's more of a volume approach than an intensity approach, right? If you're going to do 5x5 literally. So let's say I could have started at 80 or maybe 82.5 at best. And I still started at 75 kilos to give what I call create room for progression. Because if I started at my very max for a 5x5, I'd probably not be able to get the next weight the next time. But now when I did it like this, I could sneak beyond my current max. And when I came to 90 kilos, or if it was 92.5, I don't remember, now I couldn't even get 5 on the first set. And I'd been doing touch and go reps up until that point. Now I backed down, and it was 90. It was 90 that I could do it with, I remember now. But I backed down to doing past reps from like 80 kilos. And now I came back to 90 kilos doing 5x5, but now with a past rep. So then I have made progress. If I were then to try doing touch and go reps, I would have gotten past what I did. So do you see what I mean? When everything is there from a consistency and effort point of view, and it has been working, but it isn't anymore. Now something needs to be changed until it's working again. So I wish for wings. I thought about you recently, man, and I wanted to check in. And and that's my girl. I have a unique signal for her on the phone. Yeah, shut up now, though. He's like, you know I'm live. You know I'm live, baby. Stop spamming me. I'm gonna give her some attention soon. The stream is not gonna go for too much longer. How would you... So I wish for wings. I was gonna say, I've been thinking about you, just to check in how things been going since we talked more this summer. But he said, how would you rehab your shoulder? I had surgery done on the 13th. Obviously, it will not be the same again, but I would like to scratch my back again. Well, good news is that if you get jacked enough, you kind of... doesn't matter with flexibility. It's like there's too much... I mean, scratch... Let's put it this way. I have decent mobility, but there definitely is a spot there that I'm not being able to touch right now. I mean, I don't know exactly, because the shoulder, the thing is the shoulder joint and the hip joints, these are the most complex joints in the body, right? You know, compare with the elbow, for instance. The main function of it is to flex and extend, and there is a bit of rotation in there, but that's it, really. So you see what I mean? There's not too many different things that could be wrong in an elbow, for instance, while in a shoulder, there are so... you see that I can move. Apart from all of this, apart from being able to lift it and go forward and back, up and down, there's also external rotation, internal rotation. It can be depressed and elevated. There's so many things, so many muscles that attach there. The biceps, the triceps, all the big shoulder muscles, of course, but the lats attach up there from the mid-back. You know, there are so many things there. And the rotator cuff, all the crap. Point is that it can be so many different things, but, you know, how would you rehab your shoulder? Let's put it this way, where, okay, and you're let's say you continue there, right? Afternoon, by the way. Couldn't say it before because of text limit. Afternoon. Do you mean you're just saying good afternoon, or because I'm just trying to see what the afternoon part had to do with the initial super chat. No, but it's like it's easier on a thing when, because you know, this is also a beautiful thing, guys, that a lot with intuitive knowledge is that it helps to know the science. Like I have pretty good knowledge, right, on anatomy when it comes to muscles, attachments, you know, joints. I just anatomy. I have a pretty good actual map of the body like that in my head. But apart from that, there's just intuition. And so if you know where you have problems with your shoulder, at what times is it problematic? Now, without even knowing like the exact muscle or you know the exact thing that is the root of the problem, if we can see what practically is the problem, like I just make something up now, doing a flat bench, it hurts, right? It hurts on that angle. Now we can be like, well, what we're looking to get out of a flat bench, can we get it from something else? Because many times, apart from like pure rehab stuff, just being able to work the area and strengthen it somehow is what's going to work, you know. So you see what I mean? I'll put it this way. When I've had two major shoulder injuries, right? One was to my right shoulder. It was earlier on in my training career. I've been training for a year or something. I am stupid, not listening to feeling more and more pain on the front. And it was a specific day when my training had been a bit off. So I for once benched when I was already a bit sore in the chest from the day before. I usually wouldn't do. And something really like snapped, right? And at first, my entire chest was all contracted. Like completely contracted like this. I could not move my arm more than it was in sharp pain. If someone wanted to hug me, I was like quick to come with the other side. Then actually, to begin with, when it was, because it's sort of a protective measure the body can do sometimes, it just tightens everything up so it doesn't like get worse, you know. But using one of these massage pistols actually just like, you know, made it unfrozen, and that like the tightness went away. Now the shoulder is still weak, and to begin with, I couldn't do almost anything, you know. The only thing I found that worked for the chest, because shoulders, like shoulder isolations were kind of fine, but with like pressing movements, just nothing worked. And certain angles also did not work at all. The only thing I could do for my chest, even though it's a shoulder injury, right? But it's like impressing, I get most problems from it. High to low cable fly was all I could do for the chest. So for everything on my push workouts, it was like shoulder isolations, triceps isolations, and freaking spamming like 6 sets of these flies. Then gradually, as it got better, I noticed that I tried to flat bench all the time, of course, and just couldn't. As soon as I unracked the bar, it was like, sharp pain, I have to put it back. Dips were also a non-go. But what I noticed then was that, for me, dumbbells worked. Because then I could put myself in a position where, instead of being forced into a position that clearly my body couldn't handle by being fixed to the bar, when I could move the dumbbells freely, it worked for me. But what I say here real quick is that I've heard about the exact same opposite also, because my thing was more than anything that the right shoulder got too tight. And so being forced to be stuck in a certain position was not good, while getting a bit of freedom of movement, that was good. While for someone else, where the problem might be sort of the opposite, that the shoulder is super unstable, right? Because it wasn't unstable, it was just tight and it hurts when I do it in a certain position. When it's unstable, I've heard people have the exact same opposite, like, I preferred dumbbells, but when I had my shoulder injury, the instability didn't work, so it worked better with a barbell for me. But you see, you find a way to work around the problem, and this is what I did. I found gradually that, I could do a sort of flat pressing machine that had you'd lie on your back, and put weight plates. It's like a hammer strength machine, and the handles sort of went in together. That one worked well, so that was like my compound for chest at the time, only because it worked well. And then I did incline dumbbell presses, and I would do some cable fly, and this worked. And the only other thing I did was that I would start, this entire area got quite tense, so before workouts I would use like a trigger ball just to loosen the area up. Trigger balls and massage and stuff, it's rarely the cure to the problem, but what it can do is, for healing, blood flow is important, okay? So just loosen, and if something is tight, then blood might not be able to get fully in there. So if you just loosen it up before you train, it might help something that was painful not be painful, but it also helps for better blood flow, for better healing. So I started doing that at the start of a workout. I will use trigger ball, loosen area up, and I would use a bunch of like external rotations with high reps with a band. And after like 9 months from the moment of injury, I actually hit the personal best on the flat bench press, beat what I did before I got injured, while not flat benching at all, by rehabbing in a good way and strengthening the same muscles that way. So, man, I don't know exactly what you should be doing, Wings, but I'm throwing some ideas of what the process could look like. Basically, little stuff, trigger ball and little rubber band stuff, to just blood flow activation sort of thing. And then just working around your injury, think of what I'd like to do if I wasn't injured, things that are close to that, until you find something that works, progress from there. That's been my kind of intuitive approach to all my injuries, and it's all worked out in the end. He also said, "Thanks, coach. As with you." I guess he wishes me well and thoughts about me also. Yeah, man, feel free, Wings, if you're still around. I guess you are, to listen to my response. But feel free to give me a little update on Instagram or something if you feel like it. Matthew says thanks, very, very useful. It was the guy that asked about, yeah, bench. It was, yeah. Alex says good afternoon. Well, good afternoon. But yeah, guys, I think we run out of stuff in the chat for now. My girl just started texting me, so I think it's a pretty good time to to end the stream. Wing says, damn, I'll commit to the nucleus overload part. All right. Well, man, I hope since we last spoke that you've worked on the consistency, right? Because you definitely have the will. You're definitely a smart guy. And it seems like your biggest issue would be being so dark sometimes that you're like, it's not even worth it. Just fuck all of this for a while. I hope you manage to stay more consistent and that you're feeling better, doing better. And yeah, guys, I guess I'll end the stream like this. I enjoyed it. I like what you brought in the chat. I appreciate the super chatters. I wish for Wings and Brian M. But this is the thing, unfortunately. I just cannot justify. If this is the level, I cannot justify doing this as a regular thing now. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'll do something active with a YouTube membership tiers. And I guess I just talked so long about all the other things that there are some other things that I announced, like ideas I have that I'm just not going to have time to talk about. But yeah, guys, probably it's going to be a member thing with the streams. Of course, I can do an odd one for everyone, but as a regular thing. And part of that will also be some of my training, like more insight into my training, like training clips of me and voiceovers and stuff. Thank you for the stream though, guys. I still enjoyed it a lot. I always do. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one if you remember, I guess, you know. But yeah, peace. See you in the next video in a week though. Peace.